Hey, I'm back and I'm standing here in front of my TTRPG bookshelf. Well, just this one shelf here. The rest of this is not TTRPG stuff. I haven't been into the hobby long enough, and also I've gotten a lot of PDFs. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about how I've got the Labyrinth Worldbook and the Labyrinth Adventures as physical books. In my previous video relating to Tales of the Valiant, I talked about the content of these books because I had the PDFs already from the Kickstarter. Now I just want to talk about the physical objects themselves, and so this should be a much shorter video, and it's just about them as physical objects. I will have a link below to the previous video that I did about these. So the first thing, I mentioned this near the middle or end of the last video, Tales of the Valiant kind of has this color scheme going where so far the main books are blue and the Labyrinth books are purple. I don't know if they're going to continue that and what it looks like as they go forward. I do like the idea of like, hey, these are the core books, or maybe even these are the books that are set anywhere, and then these are the Labyrinth books. The Northlands is going to be a campaign that they do later September, I think. And so here's the Midgard Worldbook. This is for 5e, originally written for D&D. Tales of the Valiant wasn't out yet, as well as my Zobek book and my original Margrave book, not the new one that's been rewritten for Tales of the Valiant. You can see these all have their own colors. That makes sense. Margrave being green, it's a forest. I don't know what the Northlands is going to do. I believe if I read the Discord chats from the official Kobold Press person in there correctly, there's going to be a D&D 2024 specific and a Tales of the Valiant specific edition. I don't know if that puts the lie to their claim this whole time that 5e is 5e and you can go back and forth. That's been their claim for almost the whole time. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what comes out and what people say after it comes out. Tales of the Valiant / Kobold Press reviewer called Mr. Tarask on YouTube. He does almost all their books. We'll see what he says. He might have an interesting opinion about that. And I'll see once the Kickstarter comes out. But we are kind of getting a little bit off topic. Let me take out the Worldbook first. It's about as thick as the Zobek book is. Not quite as thick as Midgard. The interesting thing I found is that it seemed a lot longer, like it's a lot bigger on PDF. I don't know if that's because it takes each page a little bit longer to load. I don't know if it has to do with just my computer. I don't know, but I just felt like this was going to be like as big as the Midgard Worldbook. Not that I'm disappointed. It's just a different impression with the electronic version versus the physical version. But this is a nice, pretty hefty book. Nice, good quality. This is my first Tales of the Valiant hardcover that I have. These are their pocket versions. So if you're ever curious about buying the pocket guide, which is cheaper, this is the size difference. Oops. So from here to here, hold it straight. From here to here, and from here to here is the difference. But it has the exact same content, just kind of squished down. Some people online, they say, and these are people that this must be their only hobby and they have enough money to buy things twice, but they'll buy a copy of the pocket guide and that's what they take to play at the table. And then the hardcover is their for their shelf, for their bookshelf. I kind of see some merit to it. Like I said, that's a lot of money to spend on the same thing twice, but I can kind of see, like, this looks nice, and I don't know if I would want to carry this back and forth in a book bag or something where maybe the corners get messed up. Before I get too far afield, so before when I was talking about the blue and the purple, I did, for either the Player's Guide 2 or the Monster Vault 2, or both, I can't remember, I got the special edition or the Kickstarter guy cover, which looks super cool. And actually inside all of the Tales of the Valiant ones, they'll show you the cover of the one, the regular edition, and then the special edition or deluxe edition. It looks really cool, but from what I've seen of the spine when Kendo was talking, it's not going to kind of match the color scheme. So I'm kind of like, on the one hand, it looks really cool. On the other hand, it breaks the color scheme. Which part of my OCD do I want to give into? I'm not sure. So, you know, depending on your OCD levels, that might weigh into whether you go for the limited edition or the regular version, or even the hardcover versus the pocket guides. So, the other thing that one other big point I wanted to make is that the PDFs, even though I do have a nice large monitor where I can put it on a 2-page spread and see both pages well in a way that's legible. There's just something about looking at this art in person. And now I'm saying in person, but I'm putting it on video for you to see on video, but I think you understand what I mean. Looking at it in person just really, it really pops in a way that it doesn't on the screen. I think that may be down to physics. The fact that when you're looking at a piece of paper, you're seeing reflected light versus on a monitor, you're seeing light that's coming from behind onto your eyeballs. And that may be what's affecting the difference in the way it looks. But I just find, and this is why I started buying the books, even though I normally also get the PDF. The PDF is much more convenient to me. And no matter where I am, if I happen to go for let's say this weekend, I go visit my brother, and he says, hey, let's play Tales of the Valiant, or let's play Dungeons and Dragons. The fact that I have it all digitally, I could just say, yeah, sure, and I've got my books, and we can get going, right? Versus if I didn't plan to do it, I don't have those books with me. But I just the art is so much nicer in the books compared to on a page. And I'm not an anti-ebook person, actually, for regular books, not TTRPG, not cookbooks, but just your regular, like Jurassic Park, you know, a book that's just text. I'm perfectly fine with my e-reader. I prefer my e-reader. I like being able to have all the books with me. But for something like this, where it's so art-heavy, I just love having the books. The paper is a good quality paper. You know, it doesn't bleed through too much. It's not the thickest paper I've seen, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good at, the printing is very good. There's no smudging or anything like that. And again, because formatting requires these books to be PDFs versus an EPUB, well, it doesn't require it. Let me back that up a little bit, because if you have the Dungeons and Dragons books on D&D Beyond, they completely reformat the books for either your cell phone or the website. But it's not the same product, right? When you get a PDF, you get exactly what they sent to the printer for a certain value of exactly. My point being, for something like this, that you have to use a PDF, you can't like really reflow it. I find it clearer to read a physical book than I do to read a PDF. So here's the Labyrinth Adventures book. This one is skinnier than the Worldbook. It's maybe, if I had to put a measurement on it, it's about like 75% of the thickness. It's a little bit thinner than Zobic, about equivalent to the old Margrave. Again, they show you here the regular cover versus the special edition. Special edition, I mean, you know how people back in the 80s, they thought D&D was demonic. There's definitely some kind of like demonicness to their special covers, but it like in a like a heavy metal record type of thing, not like real demon. I love it. So the adventures they're about the lost book of Mektar. You've got these nice full page maps here that you can use while you're GMing to kind of see what's going on. I did praise them before about like their description of what's in each area, where you can go from here, northeast or northwest. That said, you would probably, if it were me, and I do plan to GM this for my players after we finish our current campaign, I would probably use the PDF and print out this page so that I don't have to keep flipping back and forth between, you know, like room 20, room 14. If I kind of want to know a layout, an understanding of the layout, I might, and if I did buy this for Foundry, I'll get to that at the end of this video. If I didn't, I would probably scan this and put it in. So I like that it's a nice big full page map. And again, the art just really pops here. You can see the purple well, maybe you can't see. I don't know what the camera is exactly picking up, but Everything is purple here, like anything that is not the main text. So the headers are purple versus they're normally blue in the other books. But yeah, so nice, great art. Again, there is a little bit more bleed through on these pages compared to the World Book. I don't know if the pages are a little thinner or if the ink is a little darker. I'm not sure. Like I could see this trader peddler. I can kind of see the outline of him. When I put the page all the way down, it's not bad. But there is some. If I had to criticize, that would be my main critique of the World Book. There's a slight bit of bleed through. It mostly doesn't matter, but it mostly doesn't affect your ability to read. It is just a slight little bit annoying, but it's not horrible. But yeah, and then again, oh, so one nice thing here is they have the handouts here, but they do give you a URL where you can download the handouts, because obviously you're not going to cut into your book, and that way you don't have to worry about making a photocopy. You can just download that PDF and print it out for them. So overall, I'm very happy with the quality of these books. Like I said, pretty good paper, great ink. The art really pops. If I could just show you something here, it says 5e and Tales of the Valiant. Let me see their actual Tales of the Valiant guides, what it says. Those only say Tales of the Valiant. So they're saying that the Labyrinth is good for 5e, meaning basically D&D, but I did say in my previous video there are some other 5e systems or Tales of the Valiant. So again, we'll have to see exactly what they do with their Northlands book that's coming out later this fall. Yeah, overall, I'm very happy with the physical products. I would say if you want something nice for your shelf from Tales of the Valiant, and you like the idea of the Labyrinth that I talked about in the previous video, I think it's a no-brainer to pick it up. Like I said previously, I like that you can use it to tie together adventures from either Kobold Press or Dungeons & Dragons, or that you get from RPG Drive-Thru. You can kind of just grab anything from anywhere and tie it all together with the Labyrinth as your connecting tissue. Where do we go from here with the Labyrinth? Well, there's still two things that I have not received from the Kickstarter. One of them is the FoundryVTT module. Just in case you don't know, Foundry is a virtual tabletop. It's a way to play Tales of the Valiant or Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder with your friends online. Other examples are Owlbear Rodeo, Alchemy, Roll20, Shard. I happen to like Foundry because it is a one-time purchase. You pay 50 bucks one time, that's it. You don't have to stay on some kind of subscription where once you stop the subscription, you either lose your books or you lose some capabilities. For one $50 purchase, boom, you're good. And I think things will stay sustainable from the fact that they've now opened up a store where people can sell their modules for Foundry. And if they're like any other store, they're probably taking a cut somewhere between 10 and 30%, 30 being like what Steam does, and the Apple Store and the Android Store. So hopefully that keeps the people employed and they can keep making this thing, because I like that you only have to pay once, but I do understand that if you're getting free upgrades from just paying once, like at some point, where does the money come from to pay the developers? So, but anyway, so that's me. I don't like paying constant subscriptions for things. I like buying one time and that's it. They just upgraded from Foundry 12 to 13. And if there's one complaint to have about Foundry, is that they don't maintain a stable API between versions. And so things break a lot and it takes a long time for the modules to be updated. As of right now, Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder are on version 13, but Tales of the Valiant is not. If you have a version 12 and you upgrade it, it'll keep your Tales of the Valiant modules. They may or may not work. They may be very buggy. I'm on the Foundry room in the Kobold Press Discord, and I do see a lot of people complaining about bugs if they did upgrade. And so Kobold Press, being a small company, they only have limited resources to pay for their Foundry modules. They seem to prefer either Alchemy or Shard. I don't remember off the top of my head, but one of those has the most modules available, the most adventures in addition to the rule books. Foundry only has a few. I'm afraid this may be a chicken and egg situation, because if, let's say that I don't care about whether I pay a subscription or not, if I look around and see which VTT I want, I may look at Foundry and see that there's only a couple adventures, and I may just go to Alchemy, but then they don't get the signal that people are using Foundry, you know, so it becomes like a situation where if they don't have it up to date, people aren't going to want to be there, but if people aren't there, then they feel like maybe they don't need to support it, right? But most important thing, and I try to say this whenever I talk about this online or in the Discord, I understand that Kobold Press is a very small company, and they're actually paying a contractor. I don't know if it's one person or a company, but they pay a contractor to make the Foundry VTT module for them. And this is not out of the ordinary for smaller companies. The Cosmere TTRPG just came out this week digitally, and Brotherwise Games has contracted out to this company called Metalworks, and they're the ones that did the Foundry port of the Cosmere TTRPG. So I don't want to come across as complaining. I just want to say this is the reality of things, that because Kobold Press is farming this out to a company, and the company, I believe, also has other clients. They're not working solely for Kobold Press. There's definitely a delay, right? So first of all, they haven't upgraded everything to 13. But second of all, we still don't have the Labyrinth for Foundry. Now, to be fair, I think except for maybe Alchemy, when I looked at the store yesterday, I don't think the Shard or the others have it either. But so that's one reward I'm missing, and I would like to do another one of these videos talking about how the port looks and how it works once it's on Foundry. There's one other thing that's missing that's physical that has to do with this, and that is when I got into this Kickstarter, because my kids love Tales of the Valiant. In fact, my oldest loves Tales of the Valiant way more than D&D. Well, whenever we play D&D, she's like, okay. But when we play Tales of the Valiant, she's like, yes, let's play. So I said, all right. And my kids, I don't know if this is typical or not. So my kids are basically 13 and under. So I don't know if this is typical for their age, but they actually don't like playing in VTTs. They way prefer to play with pen and paper and minifigs and all that stuff. In fact, let me grab something really quick. This is my son's Beastkin character that he created on Hero Forge to play Tales of the Valiant. It's so when we were looking at the Beastkin, the way that we read the rules, it looks like you could create a hybrid. So this is a alligator with a turtle shell back. He's also supposed to have frog feet. And that is who my son created as his character, Jackal Bonfeather. That's his Tales of the Valiant character, and he loves it. My daughter, my youngest daughter, also has one that she created for her Tales of the Valiant character. They really like playing physically as opposed to digitally. I got the Foundry VTT module, A, so that I can have the character options and stuff within Foundry, and B, in case I play online with friends, but not for my kids. So I got the Beadle and Grimm's like super awesome whatever package for the Labyrinth. If you don't know Beadle and Grimm's, first of all, they are the creators of where is it here? Faster Purple Worm Kill Kill, which they, for the special cover, it just says everybody dies, but it's a super hilarious adventure module. But anyway, they do that. They did that, but what they're most known for is making like these special edition Dungeons and Dragons adventure modules, like with all these maps and challenge coins and special die, and like they're amazing, but they're super expensive. Like I think the Dragon Delve one was 120 or 200 bucks. Their most expensive one, I think, is Vecna or one of those, or Strahd, I can't remember, but it's like $400. I said, well, this sounds really cool. My kids will really like it. It comes with a bunch of maps and everything. And because of all the tariff stuff, and I'm not getting political, I'm just saying because of the tariff stuff, that stuff has gotten really hung up, like where we don't have any idea when that stuff is coming, even though we've gotten the rest of our physical rewards. So whenever that arrives, I definitely want to review that as well, because it seems like it's going to be an amazing product. I'm just so bummed that it got held up with all the tariff stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm going to go from here as far as the Labyrinth goes. So last time was the content of the books. This time was about the physical books. I'll be making a future one about how it functions, how it looks, what I like and don't like about it in Foundry. And then whenever the Beadle and Grimm special edition stuff comes, I will talk about that, unless for some reason they cancel it, in which case I won't. So thanks for joining me again, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.